Have you ever wondered how a single decision can change the course of a life? How can someone who seems ordinary at first glance quietly build something extraordinary from the simplest of beginnings? Today, we're stepping into the story of a woman whose journey is filled with resilience, transformation, and second chances. And by the end, you might find yourself looking at your own story a little differently. Early life and roots. Kayla Moore was born in December of 1980 in the small town of Harrodsburg, Kentucky. The setting of her childhood wasn't flashy, it was simple, even modest. But in that simplicity, she absorbed lessons that would follow her for life. Her parents, Paul and Donna Moore, raised her in an environment where everyday things carried meaning. Weekends often included family trips to garage sales. For some, those stops might have seemed ordinary or trivial. For Kayla, they were little classrooms of their own. At those sales, she discovered that what many people overlooked could still hold value. She noticed the details others ignored, the design on a plate, the mark pressed into the bottom of a piece of pottery, the subtle wear on a vintage book. These weren't just objects to her, they were pieces of history, each carrying a story. Before she even had the vocabulary to describe it, Kayla was learning negotiation, patience, and the art of recognizing worth where others couldn't. Most importantly, she was learning to see beyond surface appearances, a skill that would define both her career and the way she connected with people later on. Beginning a channel, fast forward to July of 2020, Kayla, a mother of two daughters, was balancing the demands of homeschooling with everyday life. Amid all of this, she uploaded her very first YouTube video. Her channel, which she called the Homeschooling Picker, wasn't slick or polished in the beginning, but that wasn't what mattered. What drew people in was her natural ability to teach while sharing. She didn't just hold up a plate or a piece of clothing and say she bought it. She showed her audience the tiny stamp on the underside of a dish, or the reason why a particular jacket had resale potential. She took her viewers with her, not just on the shopping trip, but into the knowledge she carried. And slowly, those casual uploads began to attract attention. Viewers weren't just watching her find bargains, they were learning to see value in places they'd never thought to look.
This other one's a Knickerbocker.
Is that cool?
Mm-hmm.
All right, nice.
This other one's not Brandon, but she's cute.
It wasn't long before the comment sections began filling up. People praised her not just for her reselling ability, but for how approachable and genuine she seemed. She wasn't performing, she was simply being herself. A rapid rise. Within months, Kayla's channel picked up speed, drawing thousands of subscribers. Kayla's audience kept expanding, not just because of what she taught, but because of how she made people feel included, encouraged, and capable. Her success also caught the eye of others in the reselling community. One of the most notable was Harry Tornado, a fellow reseller with a strong following of his own. When they began collaborating on videos, fans were thrilled. Seeing two personalities bounce off each other, comparing finds and swapping insights, was entertaining and informative at the same time. Viewers commented over and over again that Kayla's presence felt refreshingly authentic. They connected with her energy, her warmth, and the fact that she still seemed grounded, despite her growing success. By early 2022, Kayla's platform had expanded far beyond what she likely imagined when she uploaded that first video. Her YouTube subscriber count soared, her videos pulled in millions of views, and her eBay store, cleverly named Kayla's Junk Trunk, had become a thriving business in its own right. With more than 12,000 successful sales and an impressive 99.8% positive feedback rating, her reputation as a skilled reseller was firmly established. The shift behind the scenes. Yet while her online presence was flourishing, things in her personal life were shifting in a very different direction. For nearly 2 decades, Kayla had been married to Jonathan Jose Yamaz, later known publicly as Jonathan Moore. Together they had built a life, raised their daughters, and supported each other through years of change. But by late 2022, keen-eyed fans noticed Jonathan seemed to have disappeared from her story. He was no longer mentioned in her videos, no longer visible in her posts. Observers speculated quietly, but Kayla said little until a short, understated message appeared on her Instagram story. It read simply, "I did, I do, I'm done." In early 2023, the divorce was finalized. Kayla was granted primary custody of her daughters. The stated reason was personal growth and a divergence in life goals. There was no scandal, no loud accusations, just two people moving down separate paths after years together. Her story highlighted something most creators never talk about: the dissonance between the carefully curated content of a channel and the unseen personal struggles happening behind closed doors. Support from her community. When the news became known, her community responded with remarkable kindness. Viewers left encouraging comments, sent supportive messages, and even shared their own stories of heartbreak, divorce, and resilience. The response seemed to lift her. Though she didn't dwell on the divorce in her content, her videos after that period carried a different weight. They weren't just about flipping items for profit anymore. They were also about balance, about choosing joy where possible, about continuing even when life doesn't go according to plan. Her homeschooling tips often doubled as broader lessons about life and perseverance. Her honesty was something her audience respected deeply. An unexpected connection. And then, in the middle of 2023, another twist unfolded. Kayla began appearing with someone new, Matt, better known in the reselling community as part-time pickers. Viewers quickly picked up on the chemistry between them. Matt, based in California, had his own reputation for sharp observations and witty commentary. His fast-paced style was a natural contrast to Kayla's steady, warm presence. When they confirmed their relationship, they explained that both of them had recently gone through divorces. They connected not only through their shared love of reselling, but also through the experience of starting over. Together, they appeared in each other's videos, visited estate sales, filmed casual conversations in the car, and showed what it looked like to support one another both personally and professionally. It wasn't overly dramatized. It wasn't packaged for views. It simply felt real. Building something new, soon after they launched a collaborative video series called Flip and Learn. The idea was to combine Kayla's homeschooling background with Matt's quick reselling style. An episode might feature Kayla explaining a geography lesson through vintage maps, while Matt broke down how to list and sell those same maps on eBay. It was clever, creative, and genuinely educational. Fan reactions and speculation. Of course, the internet had its opinions. On Reddit and in YouTube circles, threads buzzed with discussion. Some fans praised the pair, saying they seemed well-matched and genuinely happy. Others wondered if it had all happened too fast. One Redditor wrote, "What a disappointment Matt from Part-Time Pickets has become. Left his side and kids to be with the homeschool chick. What terrible content, too." Another replied, "But have you seen how happy she looks now? Let her live." The conversations revealed just how invested people had become in her story. Kayla had never positioned herself as a celebrity, but in her honesty and openness, she had built a community that cared deeply about her. Today and moving forward, now Kayla continues to balance all the roles she carries. She creates consistent YouTube content, runs her successful eBay store, homeschools her daughters, and alongside Matt, she navigates the realities of blending families while building a future. Her ex-husband Jonathan remains outside of the public eye. From what little is known, he continues to be present as a father but chooses not to step into online conversations. Through it all, Kayla has remained consistent in who she is. She still lights up over a small thrift store find that turns into a surprisingly profitable sale. She still speaks with humility and a love for the process. Closing reflection. So, in the end, Kayla Moore found the strength to step fully into her own life. She turned not only garage sale bargains into value, but also transformed personal challenges into new beginnings. Her journey shows that reinvention is quiet, difficult, and deeply personal. But when faced with the choice, she chose courage, clarity, and growth. And maybe that's the most valuable find of all. What do you think is the most inspiring part of Kayla's journey? The way she turned a hobby into a thriving business? The resilience she showed through personal change? Or the new partnership she's building today? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks for watching.